Greetings, everyone, and happy Friday. And yeah, February's about over. We only got a few more days left. And man, I'll tell you what, we have some great stuff here on the horizon, if you will. And hey, let's do a quick shout out here. We've got Harold, Idaho, Railfan, Pandanator. Yeah, you're gonna like today, Panda. Shannon, Anthony, Jamie, Joseph, Shannon, Taylor Baggerly, and Bradley, Eric, Chris, Hans, Ian, Michael, Ricky. Man, we've got a big crowd here today. You'd think we were releasing something new today. I guess we're going to have to stick around to see what it is. So yeah, we are ending the February pre-orders. Today is your last day to make those pre-orders. Yeah, so whatever time your hobby shop closes, you might want to get there as soon as this broadcast is over. But we've also got some new stuff to talk to you about today, and we've got something brand new tooling, never been done before to this level anyways, in plastic. And you guys, I'm not making you guess anymore. You already know what we're here for. So one more round of shout outs, and then we'll get this episode going. So we've got Ronald, Bradley, Christopher, Justin, Marvin, Sid, and Frederick, Marvin, D'Angelo, and so many more. So thanks for joining me here today. Let's do what we always do. Let's go ahead and get comfortable in our workshops, assume the comfortable position in our workshop chairs, put down the hobby knife, and grab the beverage of our choice. Hey, the weekend's almost here, and let's start it off with AC 4400 CWs. Now, I know I can hear it right now. There's a collective sigh of relief out there. You guys have been asking for this. We alluded to it last year, and here it is. There's a couple of things I want to go over real briefly before we go further into the packet. But a couple of things I want to let you guys know. What you see right now, this is just the preliminary artwork. It is subject to change. So if you see something and you're like, that doesn't look quite right, by all means, remember we've got that email that says, that's Athearn product suggestions at athearn.com. Use it. Let us know. But keep in mind that this is not the final rendition, and this is not exactly what you're going to see a year from now when these are in your hands. So with that being said, let's talk about these a little bit. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention too is we're not going to go, and I've said this before, we're not going to go deep into the weeds here today because we've got a lot to cover. Not only are we going to have a special train Tuesday on the AC 4400s, but we are scheduling a special live feed with the developer. In this case, this is John Stackpole, our lead developer at Athearn. We are having a live feed with him, as well as Harry Wong of Railroad Model Craftsman and Tony Cook of Model Railroad News. They're all going to be joining us, and we're going to go into a lot of detail on these locomotives because, as you will see, there are so many different variations of this locomotive. 1993 to 2004. So pretty good range of years. And we're starting with the CIT group. Now, as I go through these guys, I don't see your comments right now because I'm on a different screen. So if you've got questions, please save those till the end. If you got some comments, save those towards the end too, and we'll get back to them. But let's just look at the eye candy we've got here. So the first one up is the CIT group. Obviously, one that you guys have been asking for, and we're offering it in two different versions. You know, real briefly, if you look at 1002 and 1020, they both have GPS domes. They have high number boards, whereas 1048 has a Sinclair antenna package and has low number boards. So these are different locomotives, even though they work for the same railroad. And again, we're going to go into detail on these, on what makes every single one of these special. There are so many details, and this is why it took us a little bit longer since when we initially released this. Okay, so who was asking for Chicago Northwestern? I know the Panda was, and here you go. So we had to do these, and this was another highly requested. Now, this is obviously before the UP buyout, and a lot of you guys are probably asking, hey, why is there no UP in this run? Well, don't worry. We're going to be doing more runs. In fact, we're going to be doing more runs in this year. So we have plenty to draw from, but we wanted to get some of these first customers up to the plate first. And we're starting with Chicago Northwestern, one of the early purchasers. Remember, I said this locomotive was manufactured by General Electric from 1993 to 2004, and this is a 1994 era CNW. And again, we're going to go into complete detail. John's going to share these CAD drawings with us. He's going to talk about the amount of research that had to be done on every single one of these. Now, these are Genesis 2.0, so you know what that means. You're going to have the details that you don't normally see in just your standard Genesis model. You're going to have lighting features that you don't have in your standard Genesis locomotive. So you're going to have number boards. You're going to have ground lights. You're going to have ditch lights. Ditch lights are going to operate per the prototype. Here we've got CSX. Now, one of the things I did want to mention about CSX, this is ongoing research. There's some things here that have been pointed out from our fans on Facebook as far as some forums, and this is not the final artwork. So for some of the CSX fans that are noticing the black anti-glare on the noses, that's not going to be in the finished samples. That is something that is an ongoing research is going on, and we are working very closely with CSX. Another thing that we learned too, and John just told me this afternoon, is General Electric took some liberties in paint schemes, and he's going to talk a little bit more about that on our live stream. But you can see there's subtle differences how the CSX is from unit number 1 to say number 17 or 420, and we're going to talk more about that. Basically, General Electric having their own paint shop and having their own ways of doing things, so that even the number board font was different than what CSX would do in-house for their painting. And it's just one of those things that makes model railroading so fascinating. It can be frustrating sometimes too when you're trying to find all that research, but it's also really fascinating. So we've got a few different versions here. We've got number 1, and that is a scheme that is 1995 to 2017. We've also got number 17, which is smack in 1995. And then finally, we're offering 420 for 1999. So we're going to talk about all these cool variants. The CSX locomotives, honestly, after what John has told me, and I have a real appreciation for these CSX modelers. There are so many different variations, even within the same type of locomotive. You really have to do your due diligence here. And also want to take this moment too for some of the guys that are CSX modelers. Thanks for reaching out to us. Anytime you see one of our models displayed like this and you think we could use some input, go ahead and use that Athearn products suggestions at athearn.com. We'd love to hear from you. Kansas City Southern in the Southern Bell paint scheme. Now, there were some questions about this, and I hear you Kansas City Southern guys, you're like, hey, why didn't you do the Gray Ghost version? Again, the beauty of this is, as John put it to me earlier, the amount of AC 4400 models that we'll be reducing is staggering. So your paint scheme will be coming up soon. We wanted to do this paint scheme in this run because, with all the recent developments and stuff, you're going to start seeing, you're already apparently seeing some of these on CP trains. And it's also, probably one of the most colorful, if not classy, paint schemes in the Class 1 era. But don't worry, we will be doing different versions of this coming up in the future. Now, one thing I want to point out too is every single one of these locomotives for each road, there's slight variations. And here's a CAD drawing to show the late production Kansas City Southern versions. This is the type of stuff that each developer has to research. And as we saw with the CSX locomotives, locomotives go through renumbering, they go through rebuilding, they go through repainting. There's so many different subtle details. Another thing too I want to point out, if you've noticed it in our artwork, the horns that we've got on some of these aren't 100% correct at this point. We are updating that artwork, so do not worry. If we're saying you're going to get a Nathan K5LA, you're going to get that horn. It's just, and we do have a little bit of limitations with the line art as well. Somebody was saying the other day, we don't do enough Southern Pacific. For those folks, I offer this. I humbly offer another classy paint scheme. And it's one of those paint schemes that I don't know how you couldn't like this. I mean, Southern Pacific was really classy. This is 1995 to 2006 to 2007. And, you know, again, a lot of people were asking, well, why no UP? Keep in mind that when UP got CNW and they got Southern Pacific, these guys lasted in their original paint scheme for years. In this case with Southern Pacific, we're seeing in our notes 2006 and 2007 respectively. And I can attest to that. Rail fanning out here in the Midwest, we see a lot of Union Pacific. And I saw, ironically enough, where I'm at now, a lot more Southern Pacific than I did CNW. And I remember rail fanning thinking, when are they going to paint these things? It had been 10 years since the takeover, and they were still running around in this paint scheme, and that's why we're offering these. We also want to get that first run, and we want to get the first road names or first railroads that ordered these up and out first. So here again, here's an example of the engineering drawings that we're using. This is an early production SP prototype. To the casual observer, there doesn't seem much difference between this and, say, the Kansas City Southern, but if you put them side by side, you see those subtleties. And that's what makes the Genesis all that more appealing, because we find those subtle nuances. So here's Union Pacific, and I know a lot of you guys were probably having fun. Maybe some of you guys were getting a little frustrated with the Facebook posts that we were doing this past week. But we alluded to this unit right here, UP number 6289. These are going to be part of the Prime for Grime. And these are two locomotives that their heritage is obvious, but they are a patched Union Pacific. And 6289, that neat flame patch job, we just had to do that one. So these, again, Prime for Grime. Each with their own subtle details. So quickly, let's go over some of the stuff that we're doing with these. So these are all going to have the option to have Tsunami 2 decoders installed. With that, they're going to have dual sugar cube speakers. These just sound amazing in these six-axle locomotives. You're going to have LED lighting throughout. And like I said, you're going to have LED lighting in your headlights, your number boards, your ground lights, your ditch lights. Also keep in mind, you can adjust every single one of those. You can adjust the intensity of the LED lights in the number boards, the ground lights, to your liking. That's one of the biggest things I love about Genesis 2.0 is all those lighting features and how you can actually fine-tune it to your liking. Now, this is going to have the same drivetrain that you've been used to in, say, the SD70 ACUs, the SD80s. It's a proven drivetrain. It works absolutely phenomenal. Strong puller. These are going to have animated roller bearing caps. You're going to have the etched see-through walkway steps. Just probably one of the most detailed Genesis 2.0 locomotives we've done. Now, if you do go if you rather go the DC route, we are offering them as DC, or they can be upgraded to the decoder of your choice. They do have a 21-pin NEM connector to them. So, yeah. So this is big news for us. I'm really excited about these. No Bnsf this time. Sorry. We had to stick with a few roads, but don't worry. We've got plenty to draw from. So if you don't see what you're looking for this time, don't worry. They're coming. And also, don't forget those CIT locomotives. They went into CP. They went into, they went into all kinds of types of places. So definitely. Now, before I go to the next one, I see D'Angelo says, come on, Jim, you must have a question. I can't see you, D'Angelo, until I'm back to the big screen here. So if you got a question, go ahead and shoot it out there. Yeah, CP, not this time. You can technically run one of the CITs for CIP. Or, I'm sorry, CP. There's too many letters here today. It's Friday. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are liking the CSX locomotives. That's great. I'm glad. And Joseph says, that's what we've been waiting for. Yes, that is what a lot of us have been waiting for. And again, have they been done before in HO? Not to this level. Not to this level. I mean, you'd have to go into brass before you'd see anything like that. So, yeah, and I see some comments about the ditch lights. These are going to be, you're not going to have any issues with the intensity on these. If you really want them that bright, you can. Yeah. And again, going with the Genesis 2.0, the fact that you can adjust that just makes it so much easier. All right. No GE demonstrators on this run, Bradley. Yeah. Let's see. JA says, if you saw my other brand one, you might winch Jim. Does that mean you like fully detailed it? Because I've seen some stuff at proto meets that are just amazing. So, you know, you guys are talented. My eyes are not up to that level anymore, unfortunately. Let's see. Paul, that's a definite possibility, maybe down the road. So if you got questions on the prices, if you got questions on anything else that because keep in mind, I just glossed through that. We still got a bunch of other stuff to talk about. Go to our website, go to athearn.com, go to that beautiful banner of the CSX locomotive, select that, and you'll see all of the new announcements. No undecorateds in this run. I saw somebody asking for undecorated, not in this run. Scott, anything for N scalers? This month we do have something for you, and we'll get to that in a little bit. All right. All right, so let's see what is next in our goodies here. It's another Genesis release. And I think you grain guys are going to be happy. Trinity hoppers. We're doing these again. These are the 3-bay Trinity hoppers. And if you have not purchased the Genesis Trinity hopper, you owe yourself, if you've got a nice home layout, you owe yourself one of these. These are absolutely gorgeous. I've actually ordered a few of these myself. And in fact, I got one here on my workbench. This is from the ones that just came out. And I know some of you guys hate it when I do this, but you know, these are just really nice cars. If you came to our live feed the other day, I had some of these on the layout when we were running stuff around. But you know, the metal etched walkways, the grab irons, all of the detail, the brake detail and the plumbing detail on these is just superb. Really, the only thing you need to do when you take these out of the box is weather them, and you're ready to go. So yeah, when these came out, I had to order a couple. So here's what we're offering in this run. Dakota, Minnesota, and Eastern. That is a cool one that I don't believe we've run in the Genesis line. Now we're doing some things a little bit different with these guys. We're offering them as 2 singles, but we're also offering them in 3-packs, and there's 2 different 3-packs. So it's real easy for you guys to make up a really complete grain train. Now, of course, the DM&E, that's 1996 era. We've got the Con Agra for the 2000s, same thing, 2 singles and available in 2 3-packs. We've got 2 Prime for Grimes in this release. We'll zoom in on these a little bit so you can see them. Got Joseph Transportation, AGP. You know, and if you've seen these, you remember what they look like. Here they are, new, 1996. Didn't take long for that green color to fade out like this, and they're all over. They were all over Illinois. Here's one for the late 2000s. Prime for Grime, 2 singles and 2 3-packs. We've also got Interstate Commodities. Got a cool patch going on there. Late 2000s, 2 singles, 2 different 3-packs. You can see too, we've listed the numbers. So there's no matching numbers. They're all separate numbers. Real easy for you to build up a fleet real quick. There we go with the AG Processing. We were just talking about them. As delivered, 1996. That's available in 2 singles, 2 3-packs, and then Kyle Railways, 1996. So you guys in the 90s, early 2000s, you're going to be real happy with these. 2 singles, 2 3-packs. And then General American Marks Company, 1996. 2 singles and 2 3-packs. I agree. And when I saw, you know, it's the line art doesn't always do it justice. It tells you about the road names and such, but when you get one in person, and by the way, the ones that we announced last year, the one that I just showed you, they're in stock at your dealer now. So if you didn't pre-order one and you think you want one, go to your dealer or your favorite online retailer and pick one of those up. They are amazing. They're probably one of my favorite cars, and it's the details are just what really make those over the top, just really cool. And let's see, I'm just going to go through there in case. And if I miss your question, if you had a legitimate question and I didn't see you, just bring it up at the end of the show. We'll have time to talk about some questions at the end. Anthony needs some. Yeah, good point. Until the end of March 25th, in fact. So let's move on to our next exciting release. And then, you know, for you guys that are not into the modern stuff as much, I would consider the AC 4400 CWs modern for me. For some of you guys, that's an older locomotive. But we've got something even older than that that's coming up next. And it's been a while. The Elko Rs3. Now, in years past, we had this in the Roundhouse line, and we're going to be upgrading it. It's time for an upgrade. And so here's what we're doing. the biggest thing is this is being offered with Tsunami 2 sound. And if you're a fan of that sound and you know what sound I'm talking about, you're going to want to get these in the sound. Now, we do offer them just straight DC, decoder ready, but that is big news. And we've also upgraded the drive system. So it's going to be much better than the previous release. And it's been a while since we've done these. Now, coming up first, we've got CP Rail and their high-vis action red paint scheme. This is 1970s era. Real common at one time. For you guys on the East Coast, we've got some New Haven. We haven't done New Haven in a while. Really striking paint scheme. And all these that I'm showing you, we're going to have them in 3 different road numbers, so you can build a small fleet of these for your layout. Rio Grande, another striking paint scheme. Now keep in mind, since these are ready to roll, their details change with their road name. Genesis details are specific to the road unit, the actual number, whereas ready to roll a little bit different in that the details are within the same railroad line. So here you have the Rio Grande where it's got its dual single note horns and a firecracker antenna. When we move down to the Burlington Northern, all 3 of these are going to have their Nathan M3 horns and the Western Cullen beacon, which will work if you get the DCC version. And yes, Burlington Northern did have some of these painted up. They didn't last too long, but they did exist. Now here's a cool one, Green Bay and Western. I've actually seen one of these, although it was not running. It was in a museum. So we've got some. If you're not familiar with these, we've got the metal grab irons. We've got see-through metal radiator fan. This nice fine scale handrails. It's an all-wheel drive setup. And now it's DCC ready with the quick plug and play technology, the 21 pin. And then the other thing is LEDs. Last time this was announced, it did not have LEDs. We're going to be using a cube speaker in these so that the sound is that much better. But these are going to be perfect for somebody that's doing 1960s, 1970s modeling. And keep in mind, too, the RS was a road switcher. So if you've got a small switching layout, if you've got a branch line operation, anything of that nature, these are perfect for that. Only if you do your own decoder install and you don't do it correctly. So a little bit of... We haven't developed that. Maybe that's the Genesis 3.0. We start doing Elkos that smoke. I don't know if our pets and other folks that live with us would like that, but so I'll put that up there. No, not necessarily. We can do it in the future. If you'd like to help, go ahead and go to the Athearn product suggestions at athearn.com. And it may happen. All right, so let's go to the next guy on the list. What else do I have for you today? Oh, we can always use boxcars. Go ahead and zoom in on these. Ready to roll. Pullman Standards 5344 boxcars. These are perfect for people modeling the 1970s into the 1980s. Check out the Rock Island. We get a lot of requests for Rock Island. And this era of Rock Island specifically. So everything that we're showing you here, we're going to offer it in 3 different road numbers. These are all singles. Now this Rock Island, you're thinking 1979, well, that didn't last long. Yeah, you're right. By March of 1980, the Rock Island was gone. But these boxcars survived. They were patched over relatively quickly, but they kept their same, same look. So you can patch these yourself if you like, or you can just leave them as is and run them on your late 70s, early 80s layout. North Louisiana and Gulf, 1978 plus. 3 different road numbers for this. Sandersville, 1979. Also 3 different road numbers. South Branch Valley, that's cool, 1979. We've also got the Texas Mexican Railway, 3 different road numbers, 1978 and on. And somebody was asking on a Train Tuesday, and I don't remember when or where, but I know somebody out there was asking for Winchester and Western. Well, here you go. 1978 and above. And you can probably see, I'll zoom out of here, where this is all going to. This is part of the per diem era. So that's why you're seeing these short lines and these other lines. So these are ready to roll. 3 different road numbers each. I mean, yeah, these are, I can see some that I want. Anthony says it was him. Okay. Well, there you go, Anthony. We made some Winchester and Western for you. Ray says he's right by the Sandersville Railroad. That's cool. That makes rail fanning easy. Ronald's happy about the Rock. There you go. There you go. Walt's happy. Yep, that's perfect. CNW ended up with a lot of Rock Island equipment, all kinds. All right, and Eric, bringing back the RS3 that we were talking about, he grew up 3 blocks from the Green Bay and Western Roundhouse. That's, man, I hope you had your camera. That's pretty cool. All right, so let's see what else we've got in this announcement. We've been having some requests for passenger equipment of late. And so we figured we'd share with you something that we haven't done in a little bit. It's been a minute. And that's the Harriman passenger cars. I'll zoom in on these real quick. So we've got Union Pacific and Pennsylvania Railroad. Now, here's what we're doing with these. We're offering these. They're available separately, the baggage, the RPO, and the coach. You can see the numbers here, the separate numbers. But we're also offering this as a combined set. So you can buy the combined set that comes with the combine, the diner, and the observation, and then you can add to it. You can add more coaches if you like. Now, there are only 1 number per release, but I know a lot of you guys are, that's not a problem. That's why there's decals. So we've got the Union Pacific for the 1940s through the 1960s. We've also got the Pennsylvania for the same time period, 1940s to the 1960s. Here we've got the Illinois Central in 1940s and 1960s, and the Southern Pacific, another iconic paint scheme for the 1940s and 1960s. If passenger rail cars are not your thing, we've even gotten a maintenance of way set. So we've talked about maintenance away on the show before. You can put these in your yard. I even read an article not too long ago where somebody in their operations actually has a maintenance away train. And that can make operations fun. Now this one here, it's all singles. There's no combination, but you can see the different item numbers there. We're offering the baggage, the coach, the diner, and the observation. We're offering those all separately. So there you go. These are cool. It's been a while since we've done these, so we wanted to offer these again. All right. So here's another one that we've offered, but it's been a couple of years. I don't know off the top of my head how many years it's been. But these are popular, especially if you've got on your layout, you've got a team track or a scrap yard or something of that nature. Are these 65-foot mill gondolas? Let's zoom in on these guys quick. They're kind of small. And these are, there's so many different things you can use these for. We offered them in N scale many years ago, and I picked some up for my Butler Buildings plant because I found pictures of sheet steel being transported in these gondolas. So coming up first, we've got the Southern Pacific 1970. We're offering this in 2 singles. Santa Fe 1970s. Also 2 different road numbers. Alaska Railroad, 2 different road numbers. Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, 2 different road numbers. And if you look, it says late 50s, 1970s. Some of you may be scratching your head. 1970s. Yeah, the Burlington Northern was really quick about painting their motive power. And if you're a Q guy like me, you'd call those motors. But they're freight cars. There's pictures of Burlington freight cars as, at least in my research, as late as the 1980s. So if you're running Burlington Northern and you're doing the 1970s into the, there's definitely no reason why you can't pick up a couple of these and run them. Lehigh Valley. Going to do that in 2 different road numbers. Now remember, today's the last day. We're offering those Lehigh Valley and former Lehigh Valley locomotives, the GP18. So do yourself a favor. You can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. You can order the GP18s and you can order the gondolas. And look at the time span is perfect. 1960s and the 70s. So that includes both Lehigh Valley and Conrail. And then Missouri, Kansas, and Texas, 1973 on up. So these are great cars. Like I said, if you're going to team track, if you've got some kind of industry, these are perfect for that. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is I told you for my small layout, I had these for a company that built grain bins and farm buildings. And so they used a lot of sheet steel. And I think maybe a flat car would be better for that. Not necessarily. A lot of these were actually used before the coil cover cars that are so common now. Well, one of the things with the prototype and one of the things with these models is the drop ends actually work. You can actually drop these. That way too, you can also use them as a buffer car. You can use them for, there's all kinds of different applications. So these are going to be a great release. I think a lot of you guys are going to be happy to see these again. David is happy. So let's see. I'm just going to go through the comments real quick. Yes, I would agree. I would agree. It is sharp. All right. So like I said, yeah, you guys that are doing early Conrail in the Lehigh Valley, especially with those GP18s, you got till the end of the day. So go ahead, order those GP18s and order the gondolas. All right, we still got more. Okay, so we have got containers. So let me show you what we're doing. And I'll show both. They're very similar, but these are 53-foot containers. Here's the HO versions. And again, these are lines that you guys have been requesting. So when you send an email to the Athearn product suggestions, we are listening. So we're offering these in 2 sets of 3. Each set includes 3 containers. We're offering 2 different road number sets in each pack. We're offering Swift, the Hub Group, EMP, Schneider International, or National, I should say, not International, and then Optimodal. Okay, so we're offering those in HO, and I'm going to stop that real quick and show the N-scale guys in the room. We're doing them in N-scale as well. So there you have it. So that is what we've got going on for the month of March. Some great stuff. And of course, the AC 4400s, which you guys have been asking for a long time. And then when we kind of alluded to it, you guys really started asking for them. And I can tell you that John has been extremely busy with those AC 4400s. And that's why you haven't had a chance to see them lately. But watch your Facebook, your social media feeds, because next Thursday at 7:00 p.m., John's going to come on the show with me, and he and I are going to talk to Harry Wong of Railroad Model Craftsman and Tony Cook of Model Railroad News, and it's going to be all about the AC 4400. And we're going to let John show us all the stuff, all the goodness about these models. It is amazing. It is going to take up an entire broadcast by itself. And of course, since it's live, you guys can interact and you can ask questions. We'll try to answer those questions as we can in real time. And it's going to be a good time. So that's going to be Thursday, 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's next Thursday. Watch the social media feed for the actual announcement. Set up a reminder. So get home from work on Thursday, put a Hot Pocket in the microwave, and get back into the layout room and watch us, because you're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be a great, great episode. Okay, so with that, let's see what we've got for questions. If you've had questions that I missed earlier in the broadcast, go ahead and post those up now. And we'll see what kind of questions you have. Mike, I see your comment, and yes, we are currently working on that. But thanks for letting us know. But we are aware of that situation, and we do have our web team working on it. Jimmy says we need NSAC 446 C6M units and another run of coal porters. So make it happen, please. Well, do your part, Jimmy. Go to Athearn product suggestions at athearn.com and let us know. If you haven't done that already, you might have done that already, but if you haven't, yeah. Isaac has a question about pricing, and this is in general, but he's asking about the Genesis line. Keep in mind that just because it's Genesis doesn't mean they're locked into a certain price. The Genesis GP15 that you see behind me is a distinctly different price than, say, a Dash 9 or, in this case, the AC 4400. There's a couple of reasons, and we talked about it on Train Tuesday, so I won't go into detail. If you want to know more, look at the Train Tuesday from this last week. But typically, anytime a new model comes out, there's new production fees that we have to encounter, plus all of that research, all of the stuff that we put into a new model. Typically, we want to keep going forward. We want to keep giving you guys more detail, more features, more options. So that includes some of that pricing. And then, unfortunately, just like anything, briefly, I mean, inflation. Inflation is affecting us everywhere, not just in our hobby, but in our day-to-day tasks. Now, keep in mind, we do our best to keep those models as cost-effective as possible to you. But the Genesis line, it sometimes just depends on the type of model it is and what features it has. Chris says, what was that big orange loco that was to be announced today? I don't know. I didn't say it would be announced today, but it's going to be announced. So if you haven't bought those Maxi 1 sets yet, especially with the Hebhang Lloyd containers already in them, I would be talking to your dealer right now. Not yet. I have more surprises for you guys as the year goes on. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm not saying now we're not going to do hats. We're not going to do shirts. There's more stuff coming. Not that I'm aware of. Nothing soon. We're always going to be doing something in that ICC caboose area, but nope, nothing right away anyways. Let's see. Derek's happy, and we like to make you happy. That's great. Hey, you're very welcome. Yeah, March is an exciting month. Not just the AC 4400. That's a big deal. Trust me. And when you see our live feed on Thursday, you'll see just how big of a deal it really is. But even the RS3s are being updated. They're going to have a better drivetrain, motor system, LED lights for the first time, sound, and details that we didn't previously put on them. So we've got that, and of course those. I'm a big fan of those Trinity hoppers that we're announcing again this month. Great cars that we're doing. Let's see. Ron, you are certainly welcome. I know what it's like to have somebody that encourages us in this hobby, especially a family member. So you're more than welcome. Eric's ready for the Green Bay and Western. Yeah, those are cool. Jimmy wants to know if we'd consider a Genesis line Amtrak coach with side light indicators and maybe pre-filled passengers. Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to talk to John about that one. Let's see. Nicholas. How are John and Janet coming along with those Amtrak Viewliners? Well, you haven't seen them in a while, have you? We're keeping them busy. John has, well, I can tell you that he knows a lot about AC 4400s. he's definitely the right man for that job. So I'm glad he's done with that, and I'm sure both he and Janik are working on just that as well as many other projects. Brian, do not worry. Do not worry. There's going to be more coming down the road, and we even at N Scale we've got some surprises. So keep the faith. It's like I tell everybody when we do the new announcements. I know, some folks are really excited about certain releases, and others are not, and some are wishing we did something else. It's like I've said before. Think of it like a radio station. The song that's playing right now may not be your favorite, but it's somebody's favorite. And the song that comes after that one might be your favorite. It's the same with us. We try to release locomotives and rolling stock based on what the demand is and what you guys tell us through surveys, through comments on Facebook and other social media, as well as the product suggestion email. So we try to maximize the models that you guys want. Keegan really wants a B40-8W. Cool locomotive, no doubt. Christopher, not sure about March, but regarding, we've got some stuff set up in live feeds. We're going to start doing more live feeds as things slowly get back to normal. Yeah, we're gonna be doing more live feeds. The Athearn Extra is just one of those things that we did, and that reminds me too. If you've not seen the Athearn Extra, this is a new monthly program that we do, and it's usually done with at least one or two experts in their field, and we talk about some of the models that we're previewing that month, and we go into detail in it. And we don't usually have the time to do it in a situation like this. And Train Tuesday will cover some of our models in a half an hour or so. But when you really want to talk about the prototype and talk about the model in detail, the Athearn Extra is what you're going to want to see. And then we're also going to start doing a few live feeds that are just special, like the one that we're doing on Thursday, where we sit down and talk to the developer, and he shows us all the work it takes to make these models and some of the cool things that we find. And then we get we get interesting stories. We get prototype information from the guys that join us, in this case, Tony and Harry. So check that out. Watch the news feed. And while you're at it, go over to our YouTube channel. We do have one. And you can watch any of these announcement videos or Train Tuesday videos, and of course, Athearn Extra videos. They're archived over there. Go over to YouTube and like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Let's see, a couple of Daniel Adams Construction Channel says, do more surveys. Well, Derek, I'm glad you like those surveys. We like them too, because that allows us, especially since we haven't been able to do train shows in a bit, that allows us to talk to you and give us some feedback. So definitely, you'll be seeing more. Let's see. Late night. How far out in the future do you plan your projects? So there's a couple of ways to answer this. With the AC 4400, that was planned a while ago. And it's usually the allocation of resources. And so something like the SD70 ACU or the Dash 9s or the AC 4400, sometimes it takes up to 3 years. Now, if you're looking at our monthly, you know, announcements and things like that, generally, we like to go out about a year. And that way, we've got a pretty good answer as to what you guys are looking for, what you're wanting on your layouts, what you're wanting to operate, what railroads you want, things of that nature. So it's a little bit, it just depends on the project, but and the new projects obviously take the longest. There's quite a bit. By the time we bring something like the AC 4400 to your attention where we're asking for pre-orders, there's been a lot of revisions, changes, going back and forth with experts in the field. I think John, it's safe to say John will be dreaming about AC 4400s tonight. John, I know what you're getting at. Uh-huh. I would not be surprised. UPSP fan says hello. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Let's see. I thought I saw some more. Okay. Need 4-pane Canadian safety cabs. Have sent email on the website but haven't received a reply yet. Yes, that is correct. Whenever you send something through the product suggestion email, and I try to say it as much as possible because I don't want you guys to be offended. The developers do look at those emails, but because they get so many of those emails and their primary deal is to make new items, they don't have a chance to get to all those emails. So don't be offended if you don't get a response. We are reading those. Anthony, if you're talking about the AC 4400s that we're offering in CSX, they will not be prime for grime. The prime for grime AC 4400s are the former SP UP patch jobs. All right. Well, I do have one thing to share with you. If you remember, we talked about the FP45s and the F45s. They are at your dealers now, along with the GP9s, the much anticipated Jeep9s and the FP and F45s are in stock at your dealers now. And I think I've got one here. We'll end the day with this. And if anybody's got any important questions, we'll throw them up there real quick. But let's see what I got. Let's go to the layout. So there you go. They are in stock. Check them out at your dealer now or your favorite online retailer. So yeah, had to end the show with something that's got some sound. All right, 2 more questions and then we'll pull the pin on this episode because you've got some modeling to do. The weekend is here. We are at the gateway to the weekend, and I want you guys to have a great weekend getting some stuff done on the layout. Let's see what we've got. Max says, what happened to the HO Genesis Bnsf GP38-2s? We did some 39-2s just recently. They came into stock and then they were gone. So if that's what you're speaking of, they might be sold out. They did go rather quickly through our distribution center because I had my eyes on one, and now they're gone. Here's a good question. We make more detail parts like the GE coupler lift bars available. So technically, we're not into the detail department just because everything that we do in our, especially our Genesis class models, are limited run. It's very similar to how brass used to be back in the old days. So we have some parts, but we don't sell them. We use them for our parts service. And the other thing is we're not a parts service. We know there's a lot of companies out there that do produce detail parts for locomotives, and they are usually available through them. And then, of course, nowadays with a lot of the guys that are doing their own shops online, they will do some 3D printing of detail parts. All right. Well, we're right at the hour mark, so I'm going to let you guys go. And thanks for joining us today. I hope you're as happy as I am about the AC 4400s. Really looking forward to this release. Nicholas wants to know, what's the next train show you're making a cameo at? I'll be working the next train show, and that's going to be in Colorado. So the Rocky Mountain Train Show, that's coming up April 2nd and 3rd. So if you're by, Nicholas, stop by and say hi to me and my coworker. And we'd love to talk trains because that's why we're going. We love to talk trains, and we want to see what you guys are working on too. So with that, let's call this episode done. Don't forget, we've got Train Tuesday next Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And we've also have the special AC 4400 behind development doors coming up Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central. So until then, you guys get back to the workbench, get back to the layout. Have a great weekend. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, and above all, high greens, everybody. Take care.